Right now, at this very moment, your dog is trying to tell you something. The question is, are you even listening? Let me paint you a picture. You come home after a long, exhausting day. You drop your bag by the door. You kick off your shoes. You scroll through your phone for a few minutes, grab something to eat, maybe flip on the TV. And then, finally, you look over at your dog. And there they are. Tail wagging so hard their entire body is shaking. Eyes locked onto yours like you are literally the most important living thing that has ever existed in the history of this universe. Maybe they bring you a toy. Maybe they just rush over and press their whole body against your legs. Maybe they sit right at your feet and stare up at you with that look, that deep, soft, soul-melting look that says, "I have been waiting for you. Only you. Every single minute of every single hour that you were gone. And now you're here. And everything in my world is perfect again." You probably smiled. You probably gave them a quick little pat on the head. Maybe you said, "Good boy," or "Good girl," in that silly high-pitched voice. And then, you went right back to your phone. Here's what I need you to understand right now, and I need you to really feel this, not just hear it. In that exact moment, your dog was speaking to you in the most profound, sincere, emotionally rich language they know. A language with no words, no texts, no emojis. A language built entirely from body, energy, and love so pure it would make grown adults cry if they truly understood what they were looking at. And most of us, most of the time, completely miss it. Dogs have been living alongside humans for somewhere between 15,000 40,000 years. That is not an accident. That is evolution. And during all those thousands of years of living beside us, dogs didn't just learn to tolerate us. They didn't just adapt to our world. They evolved, literally, biologically, neurologically evolved, to read us, to understand us, to communicate with us in ways so sophisticated, so layered, so extraordinarily complex, that scientists are still uncovering new dimensions of it today. A groundbreaking 2015 study published in the journal Current Biology discovered something that should stop you in your tracks. Dogs are one of the only animals on Earth, outside of humans, that preferentially look to the left side of a human face first when they see one. Now why does that matter? Because the left side of your face is controlled by the right hemisphere of your brain, which is your emotional center. Dogs evolved to read your emotions before they read anything else about you. Before your words. Before your gestures. Before your actions. They scan your face like a poet reads a poem, hunting for the meaning underneath the surface. Your dog doesn't just see you. They see through you. They detect your stress before you've even consciously registered that you're stressed. They sense your sadness before you've shed a single tear. They feel your energy, your emotional state, the invisible weight you're carrying, and they respond to it in real time, without hesitation, without judgment, without condition. So when your dog walks over and gently rests their head in your lap on a hard day, they didn't do that randomly. They didn't do it because they were bored. They did it because they felt what you were feeling inside, and every instinct in their entire being said, "Go to them. Be close. Let them know they are not alone." And what did you do? You probably gave them a distracted pat. Maybe you gently nudged them away. "Not now, buddy." You didn't even realize what you just turned away. Most people think they understand dog body language because they know a wagging tail means a happy dog. And sure, sometimes a wagging tail does mean happiness. But here's what almost nobody knows. The direction of the wag actually says something completely different. A 2013 study by Italian researchers found that when dogs wag their tails more to the right, it signals positive emotions, like seeing someone they love. But when dogs wag more to the left, that signals stress, anxiety, discomfort, the presence of something threatening. And most dog owners, even loving, attentive ones, have no idea. They just see the tail moving and think everything is fine, while their dog is quietly telling them something is very wrong. But let's go deeper. Have you ever heard of the whale eye? It's when a dog turns their head slightly away from something but keeps their eyes locked on it, showing the whites of their eyes. That is a stress signal. That dog is saying, I am uncomfortable. I need space. Please pay attention. Ignore it long enough, and that dog will escalate. A growl. A snap. And everyone in the room will say, the dog bit completely without warning, when in reality, the dog had been sending warnings for days, weeks, sometimes months. We just didn't know the language. And then there's the play bow. When your dog drops their front legs flat to the ground and keeps their back end high up in the air, that is one of the most pure, joyful, emotionally open invitations that any living creature can extend to another. It means, please, please, come play with me. Not alone. With you. I want to share something fun with you. That play bow is your dog at their most vulnerable, most open, most filled with hope and excitement. How often do we respond to it? Be honest. Not often enough. Here's a statistic that is going to sit with you for a long time. The average dog lives between 10 and 15 years. Let's say 12 years. Of those 12 years, your dog spends roughly half their time sleeping, so about 6 years of conscious, active life. Now factor in the hours you're at work, commuting, running errands, sleeping yourself, managing daily life. The actual engaged, present, quality time you spend with your dog, genuinely present, not distracted, not multitasking, might be as little as 1 to 2 hours per day. Do that math with me. Over a 12-year lifespan, that's roughly 2,500 to 5,000 hours of real connection. Which sounds like a lot, until you realize that's only about 100 to 200 days. Out of a 12-year life. That's the total window. That's all the time you actually get. Every distracted pat counts. Every ignored play bow counts. Every time you walked past them without acknowledging them, that was part of the window. Gone. But here's what destroys me about this. Your dog doesn't resent you for any of it. They don't hold it against you. They don't give you the silent treatment. They don't make you feel guilty. They just wait. With a patience and a devotion that most humans are genuinely incapable of producing. Every single time you turn your attention back to them, even after hours of being ignored, they greet you like it's the single greatest moment of their entire life. Because for them, it is. In 2015, neuroscientist Dr. Gregory Burns published research that changed the scientific world's understanding of dogs forever. Using MRI technology on trained, awake, fully conscious dogs, his team discovered that the caudate nucleus, the brain region associated with love, positive emotions, and deep attachment in humans, activates in dogs specifically in response to their owners. The exact same brain chemistry. The exact same emotional architecture. This is not a metaphor. This is not guesswork. This is measurable, repeatable, peer-reviewed neuroscience. Your dog loves you the way you love the most important people in your life. They experience your presence as a neurological reward. And they experience your absence, your distraction, your emotional unavailability, the same way those people would. They just cannot tell you in words. And it goes even further. Researcher Takefumi Kikusui found that when dogs and their owners make sustained eye contact with each other, both of them, dog and human, experience a spike in oxytocin, the bonding hormone. The same chemical released between a mother and her newborn child during those first sacred moments of life. Gazing into your dog's eyes isn't just sweet. It's not just cute content for Instagram. It is one of the deepest cross-species biological bonds that exists on this planet. So the next time your dog looks up at you with those deep, soft, endlessly patient eyes, don't look away. Don't pick up your phone. Look back. Hold it for a few seconds. Let it land. You're not being sentimental. You're not wasting time. You are literally rewiring both of your brains for love. Your dog is speaking to you constantly. In a rich, layered, biologically sophisticated language that took thousands of years to develop. The very first step to not betraying them is the simplest one. Start listening. What if I told you that some of the most devastating moments of your dog's life happen on ordinary, quiet Tuesday afternoons, while you are sitting right next to them? Nobody gets a dog because they want to hurt them. Nobody brings home that puppy or adopts that shelter dog thinking, I can't wait to make this animal suffer. We get dogs out of love. Out of a desire for connection. For something warm and simple and unconditional in a world that is often cold and complicated. But love isn't always enough. And good intentions don't cancel out impact. This chapter is about the ways, the completely unintentional, totally well-meaning ways, that we break our dogs' hearts without ever realizing it. Not because we're bad people, but because no one ever sat us down and told us what dogs actually need at the deepest level. And once you know, you cannot unknow it. Let's start with the hardest truth. Dogs are pack animals. This isn't just a behavioral description, it's written into their DNA, into their neural wiring, into the very structure of their emotional brain. For tens of thousands of years before they ever lived in our homes, dogs lived in groups. They ate together. They slept pressed against each other. They hunted together, played together, navigated danger together. Being alone, for a dog, isn't just unpleasant. At a deep biological level, being separated from the group signals danger. It signals that something has gone terribly, catastrophically wrong. And in the modern world, we leave our dogs alone for 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. Every single day. Studies consistently show that the average dog is left alone for 6 to 8 hours daily. Research published in Animal Cognition found that dogs left alone for even 30 minutes show measurable increases in cortisol, the stress hormone, as well as behavioral signs of distress including pacing, whining, and destructive behavior. When you walk out the door in the morning and your dog presses their nose against the window watching your car disappear down the street, they are not being dramatic. They are not being needy or clingy or difficult. Their entire nervous system is firing alarm signals telling them that their pack, their family, has vanished. And they do not understand, I'll be back at 6. They don't know what 6 o'clock means. They don't know that tomorrow you'll come back just like today. They only know one thing. You were here. And now you are gone. And they don't know if you're ever coming back. Let that land for a moment. There are 3 words that dog owners say constantly. And they're almost always a lie. Not a malicious lie, just a comfortable one. A self-protective one. Those 3 words are, they're fine though. How do you actually know? Before affordable pet cameras existed, nobody really had evidence of what their dogs did all day alone. Now that millions of people can watch their pets remotely, the stories flooding veterinary offices and animal behaviorist clinics are heartbreaking. Dogs that pace for hour after hour without stopping. Dogs that sit at the front door without moving, for 4, 5, 6 hours straight, waiting. Dogs that bark and cry and whine until their voices give out, and then go silent, not because they've calmed down, but because they've simply given up. Veterinary behaviorists estimate that between 20% and 40% of the dog population suffers from clinically significant separation anxiety, a real, diagnosable condition causing genuine, measurable psychological distress. But the overwhelming majority are never diagnosed, never treated, never helped. Because their owners come home, see a happy wagging tail at the door, and conclude, see? They're fine. But here's the cruel reality. Dogs with separation anxiety almost never act distressed when their owners are present. They save it. They hold it all inside until you leave. So you never see it. You never witness the panic. You just know the before, the happy greeting, and the after, the happy greeting again, and assume the in-between must have been peaceful. It often isn't. Let's talk about something that sounds simple. Walking your dog. How hard can it possibly be, right? Clip on the leash, step outside, walk around the block, come home. Done. Except, for most dogs, that's not a walk. That's a march. Think about what a walk actually means to a dog. For the hours and hours that they spent inside while you were gone, their entire sensory world was the inside of your home. Same smells. Same sounds. Same 4 walls. And a dog's nose is, and this is not an exaggeration, somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 times more sensitive than a human nose. To your dog, stepping outside is like suddenly switching from a tiny black and white screen to an IMAX theater. Every blade of grass is a story. Every fire hydrant is a newspaper. Every tree, every lamppost, every inch of sidewalk is packed with information. Who was here, when they were here, what they ate, whether they were stressed or relaxed, whether they were healthy or sick. Sniffing, for a dog, is not just a habit. It is how they read the world. It is mentally stimulating in a way that walking in a straight line simply cannot match. Research published in Applied Animal Behavior Science found that dogs who were allowed to sniff freely during walks showed lower cortisol levels and greater optimism in behavioral tests afterward compared to dogs who walked the same distance but were kept moving at a steady pace without sniffing. Let me say that again. Allowing your dog to sniff freely literally changes their brain chemistry for the better. It relieves stress. It builds confidence. It makes them happier, calmer, and healthier, not just in the moment, but for hours afterward. And yet, what do? We yank the leash. Come on, let's go, we don't have all day. We pull them away from the fire hydrant. We keep them moving because we're trying to get our 10,000 steps in, or we're running late, or we're on our phone and not paying attention. We take away the one thing that makes a walk a walk. This one is so important and so misunderstood that I need you to read it twice. When your dog does something wrong, chews your shoe, has an accident on the floor, knocks something over, and you discover it after the fact, and you bring them over to it and say, "Bad dog," in your sternest voice and point at the mess. Your dog has absolutely no idea what they're being punished for. None. Zero. Not a clue. Dogs live in the immediate present. Their ability to connect a consequence to an action drops dramatically after just a few seconds. And for most behaviors, by a few minutes, the connection is completely gone. When you scold your dog for something they did an hour ago, they don't think, "Oh, I shouldn't have chewed that shoe." They think, "My owner is angry and I don't know why and I'm scared." That guilty look they give you? That's not guilt. That's appeasement behavior, submissive signals they've evolved to use when they sense that a dominant member of their group is upset. They're not confessing. They're trying to calm you down. So every time you've punished a dog after the fact, every time, you haven't taught them anything. You've only scared them. And scared repeatedly enough, dogs don't become better behaved. They become anxious. They become unpredictable. They become a version of themselves that is worse, not better. And it happened because we misunderstood what was actually happening in their brain. There is something your dog needs that costs you absolutely nothing. No money. No equipment. No training. Just your presence, actual, undivided, phone in your pocket presence. We live in an attention economy. Everything around us is designed, engineered at a molecular level, to steal our focus. And our dogs are sitting on the floor beside us, patiently waiting for a fraction of what your social media feed gets from you without even asking. Studies on human-dog bonding consistently show that the quality of interaction matters far more to a dog's well-being than the quantity. 10 minutes of genuine, engaged, eye contact making, belly rubbing, voice using, fully present play does more for your dog's mental health than an hour of sitting in the same room while you scroll. Your dog doesn't need you to be perfect. They don't need expensive toys or a giant yard or designer treats. They need you. The real you. The present, available, looking at me you. That's the thing they've been waiting for their whole life. The heartbreak isn't dramatic. It doesn't come from cruelty or neglect in the obvious sense. It comes from the quiet, everyday moments where we're physically present but emotionally somewhere else entirely. And our dogs feel every single one of those moments. We've talked about what dogs are saying. We've talked about the ways we accidentally let them down. And now, this is the chapter that changes everything. Because all of that, everything in chapters 1 and 2, was leading here. To this. To the question that actually matters. What does your dog need from you? Not in theory. Not in general. Right now. And more urgently, how much time do you actually have left to give it? I'm going to say something uncomfortable. Something that dog owners spend enormous amounts of mental energy trying not to think about. But I'm going to say it because avoiding it doesn't make it less true. It just means you waste time you could have spent differently. Your dog is going to die before you. In almost every case, barring tragedy, you will outlive your dog. The average lifespan of a dog is 10 to 15 years. The average human lifespan is 70 to 80 years. You might have 2 or 3 dogs over the course of your life. Each one will be there for a chapter, sometimes a long, beautiful chapter, sometimes a terrifyingly short one, and then they will be gone. And when they go, you will think about all the times you were distracted, all the times you were tired, all the times they brought you their toy and you said, "Not now." All the times you half-heartedly patted them while your eyes stayed on a screen. You will think about those moments with a kind of grief that is disproportionate to everything else in your life, because somewhere in your gut you always knew, that this animal gave you everything and asked for so little in return. So let me ask you this. What if you started living like you already know that? Not from a place of anxiety or sadness, but from a place of intention, of clarity, of choosing every single day to make the time count. This isn't a generic list. Every single one of these is rooted in behavioral science, veterinary research, and decades of work by animal behaviorists who have dedicated their careers to understanding what dogs genuinely need. Pay attention, because some of these are going to surprise you. 1. To be looked at. We already talked about the oxytocin released during eye contact. But it goes beyond the neuroscience. Being looked at by the person you love is a fundamental experience of feeling seen, of feeling real, of mattering. Your dog craves your gaze not because they're attention-seeking, but because in dog social language, sustained, soft eye contact from a trusted companion is one of the deepest expressions of love that exists. Look at your dog. Really look. Not a glance. A few seconds of soft, genuine, warm eye contact every single day. It costs you nothing and it means everything to them. 2. To explore with you. Not to be walked by you while you look at your phone. To explore with you. There is a version of a walk where you slow down completely. You follow their nose. You let them stop at the interesting patch of grass for as long as they want. You crouch down beside them when they find something fascinating and you share in the moment, even if you have no idea what they smell. This version of a walk transforms something ordinary into something your dog will carry in their body and brain for the rest of the day. Give them one truly exploratory walk per week. Watch what it does to them. Watch what it does to you.